Hello everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel Indian Bull vs Bear. This is the 8th video of the series, The Final Missing Piece. In today's video, I will analyze the infrastructure developers and operators sector. This video is structured in 3 sections. First, I'll give a brief introduction of this sector. Then I'll share 5 graphs with you and explain them in order to identify some trend. I will also share my takeaways from each of those graphs. Please read the entire disclaimer carefully and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. The infrastructure developers and operators sector in the Indian share market includes companies involved in the development, construction, and operation of infrastructure projects such as highways, roads, bridges, airports, railways, ports, power plants, and urban development. There are several government initiatives which complements this sector with the schemes like Bharatmala, Sagarmala, Smart Cities Mission, and PM Gati Shakti, etc. There are other growth drivers as well, like rising private participation, urbanization and industrialization, and increased foreign investment in this sector. The major challenges that this sector is facing are high debt and funding issues, regulatory delays, and economic slowdowns. So to see the historical trend, I'll present 5 graphs. First will be the yearly returns graph, which shows the yearly returns over last 10 years of top 10 companies of the sector. The top 10 companies of the sector comprises of 4 large cap and 6 mid cap companies. The second graph will be the yearly swing graph. This will show the number of positive and negative returns months. Third graph will be the monthly returns over last 10 years. This graph will show the returns of last 10 years across every month. The fourth graph will be the mean monthly returns. In this graph, I have taken the average or mean of the returns of last 10 years across every month. And the fifth graph will be the monthly swing graph. It will show the number of positive and negative returns years. Please do not skip any portion of this video and watch it in full. You are going to learn a lot which will help you to take decisions on your own by identifying the trends. Let's move on to the first graph, which is yearly returns. So this yearly returns graph is basically a line graph. It has 2 lines. One is this blue line, which shows the yearly returns in percentage, and the other one is this orange line, which shows the cumulative yearly returns in percentage. So in 2015, this sector gave return of 17.37, so good return. In 2016, the returns dropped to 3.71% only. 2017 was a very good year for this sector. The sector gave returns of 67.53%. But 2018 was a very bad year for this sector, and this sector actually gave negative returns of minus 26.88% in 2018. Similarly, in 2019 as well, this sector again gave negative returns of minus 15.78%. So huge negative years for this sector, two consecutive years, 2018 and 2019. Then this sector gave some positive returns in 2020 with 8.05%. 2021 was a very good year for this sector, and this sector gave yearly returns of 39.06%. 2022 was again a good year for this sector, and the sector gave returns of 23.18%. But then came 2023, and 2023 was an outstanding year for this sector, and the sector gave returns of 84.89%. 2024 again proved to be a very good year for this sector, and the sector gave 69.54% returns. So the cumulative returns line is also following the same pattern with wherein it gave exponential rise from 2022 onwards. So what is the takeaway from this graph? For me, the takeaway from this graph is the cumulative returns over last 10 years for the top 10 companies. The cumulative return is 628.59%. That means 7x. So in last 10 years, this sector has multiplied its investors input by 7 times. So it's compounded basically. So if somebody has put in some amount in 2015, so by the end of 2024, that amount was became 7x. Okay, let's move on to the next graph, which is the yearly swing graph. So in this graph, the green bars shows the number of months with positive returns, whereas this red bars shows number of months with negative returns. So in 2015, 7 months gave positive returns. In 2016 again, 7 months gave positive returns. In 2017, 8 out of 12 months gave positive returns. But in 2018, only 4 months gave positive returns and 8 months gave negative returns. 2019 was an average 6 positive, 6 negative. In 2020, 7 months gave positive returns. Same is the case in 2021 and 2022. In 2023, 10 out of 12 months gave positive returns. 2023 was a huge year for this sector, and so as 2024. In 2024, 8 months gave positive returns, even after the market correction that took place in the last 3 months of 2024. So what is the takeaway from this graph? So takeaway is the CAGR. The CAGR of this sector, the top 10 companies of this sector in last 10 years is 21.97. So it's a very good CAGR. A CAGR of around 22% is always good, a very good CAGR, I would say. Let's move on to the third graph, which is the monthly returns over last 10 years. So this graph comprises of 12 small graphs, one each for every month. So for example, this January, February, March, April, and so on. And these bars shows the returns. So for example, this green bar in 2015 shows the positive returns of 3.53 years in January of 2015. Similarly, this red bar in 2019 shows the negative return of 9.36% in January of 2019. So overall, January gave positive returns 7 times out of 10. So this January seems to be a good month for this sector. February 5 positive, 5 negative, so an average month. March 6 positive and 4 negative. So it's again it's okayish month for this sector. In April, there were 7 times when April gave positive returns, whereas only 3 times it gave negative returns. So April seems to be a good month for this sector. In May and June, both 6 positive and 4 negative returns. In July, 7 times July gave positive returns, whereas only 3 times it gave negative returns. So certainly a good month for this sector. But in August, the picture actually turns on its head, and only 3 positive returns in August in last 10 years and 7 negative returns. So August is not a good month for this sector, it seems. In September, only 4 positive and 6 negative. In October, 5 positive and 5 negative, so average month for this sector, I would say. November, 7 positive and 3 negative, so a good month for this sector. And December, 8 positive and 2 negative, so again a good month for this sector. So what is the takeaway? Takeaway is that in the last 10 years, there were 2 net negative yearly returns. So this sector, this point needs to be considered, that this sector can give negative yearly returns as well, because it has already given it the negative returns, yearly negative returns twice. So this is the point to keep in mind. Let's move on to the fourth graph, which is the mean monthly returns. So the first look on this graph reveals that February, August, and September, excuse me, and September, these 3 months historically are not good for this sector, whereas January, April, July, and November, so these months seems to be uh, good months for the sector. And if you see January, April, July, all these are all of the first month of the new quarter. So what is the takeaway from this graph then? It is that February, August, and September are the cheapest months for this sector. Historically, this sector underperforms in these months. Okay, let's move on to the final graph. This is the monthly swing graph. So January gave positive returns 7 times in last 10 years. February 5 each. March 6 times, April 7 times, May 6 times, June 6 times, July 7 times. But August only 3 times. September only 4 times. Positive return in last 10 years. October 5 each, November 7 and December 8. So we can clearly see that there are few months, for example, January, April, July, November, December, which historically gave positive returns, or historically are good months for this sector. So what is the takeaway from this graph? Takeaway is that January, April, July, and November are the costliest months for this sector. These are the months in which this sector shines. So thanks for watching. That is all from me for this video. Do not forget to subscribe if you have already not subscribed. I'll be back soon with another video. Goodbye for now.